Breaking stones. I saw her by a roadside in Allahabad, breaking stones. Not a shade of a tree under which she sat in acceptance, head hammer in hand, striking repeatedly. Seeing me, seeing her, she once, seeing no one around, looked at me with eyes.
This excerpt from the famous poem Breaking Stones by the great Hindi poet Suryakant Tripathi Nirala reflects the strenuous life and grueling working conditions of female workers. From the point of view of workers' employment, both the organized and unorganized sectors are important, but the unorganized sector is boundless in its size. According to NSSO, of the 374 million people employed in the country in 1993-94, 347 million were from the unorganized sector. Its contribution to the national income is 64% and to the national savings 50%. In exports, it's 40%. The employment figure in this sector is steadily rising. Compared to the figure of 88% of the total working population in 1979, it reached over 91.1% by 1993-94. A majority of our countrymen depend upon agriculture for their livelihood. This sector holds immense importance from the point of view of women's employment. By the 1991 Census Survey report, 89.7 million women are employed in this sector. Their strength has been growing ever since. In the agriculture-related fields like dairy and forestry also, their number is growing. Handloom is second to agriculture from the point of view of women's employment, but their strength from 3 to 3.5 billion in 1998 has been continuously decreasing because they neither have timely access to raw material nor sufficient encouragement from the market. Of late, the products of handicrafts have brought more foreign exchange to the country due to increased exports, but the domestic market has faced neglect before the foreign market. The problem of raw material has crept in here as well, and the number of male craftsmen has been increasing too. Still, this sector continues to provide promise for an ever-increasing number of craftswomen. In the areas of building, road and bridge construction, immigrant laborers are paid less than the local laborers. Female construction laborers, due to sex discrimination, are paid less than their male counterparts. Service sector is the only sector where the strength of female workers has increased. Apart from washing and ironing clothes, they also work as domestic help. On the basis of the nature of work, these female workers in the unorganized sector can be divided into self-employed women and domestic workers. The self-employed women can further be subdivided into home-based self-employed women and non-home-based self-employed women. Home-based self-employed women like bangle makers, beadi workers, papad rollers, etc. give their finished product to some contractor or agent and get paid on piece rate basis. They generally don't have any direct link with any manufacturing unit, big or small, nor do they have any written or oral contract with anyone. They arrange raw material, tools, implements, loan, place to work, etc. by themselves. In certain situations, they are found selling their products themselves in the market as well. There is no definite count of such self-employed women. It is found that even those women who are engaged in any kind of home-based profit-making activity are included in the home-based self-employed category. Whatsoever, their number is increasing very steadily. But the putting out system practiced by manufacturers cause problems for these women. They are generally offered very low rates. They work in isolation and often look upon similar workers as competitors. They don't have any legal protection. And since they don't have any knowledge of the entire process of production and the final price of their product in the market, they're not aware of the level of exploitation they undergo. Non-home-based self-employed women are just a little different from their home-based counterparts. They themselves sell their merchandise in the market, at times moving from street to street, from door to door. They sell anything from vegetables to fruits to fish, and are even found bartering clothes for utensils. Women involved in laundering services are also considered belonging to this group. But the labor of such women largely remains invisible. They also face problems relating to lack of employment security, social security, infrastructural support, lack or low level of organization, etc. Owing to ease of entry of workers in the unorganized sector in comparison to the organized sector, competition among workers increases, leading to an overall drop in their income levels. Also, since the level of skill required in jobs in this sector is fairly low, the number of female workers in this sector is consistently rising. That the labor laws for the sector are insufficient. Whatever laws are there are not enforced effectively. We shall later return to the possible solutions to these problems. At this stage, the problems of domestic workers should be considered. In middle and upper class houses, we generally come across women who work as domestic maids. They clean utensils, cook, sweep floors, wash clothes, etc. Some live on a permanent basis with the families they work for. Some work morning through evening, whereas some come once or twice in a day. They reside mostly in the lower class settlement colonies adjacent to their place of work. In metropolitan cities, such women are generally migrants. But they are not included in the labor category and therefore don't have any special legislation to protect them. There is no fixed rate of their payment, and their employees generally dictate the terms and conditions of work. Their holidays are not fixed. They don't get any medical benefit. They are subjected at times to violence and sexual exploitation. Those who work on a full-time basis living with families don't have relatives around them. They don't get their salaries every month on a regular basis. Usually, they are paid lump sum amounts once or twice a year, and there are no fixed schedules either of their work or leisure. What should be done to ameliorate their conditions?
I think the only way out is unionizing these workers. And when we go for unionizing, it's not an easy process. No family would want their domestic worker to have anything to do with any union. Moreover, when they are not even covered in the workers category. So the better issue is those who are coming through institutions, their institutions need to be sensitized that their domestic workers who are going through them need to know their rights. They have to be informed better. They should be allowed to have some interaction with the women organizations or with the trade unions who can inform them about their rights. But those who don't come through institutions, they are living in bastis which are nearby those mohallas or colonies where they go for services. It's that area where you can do the organizing. You can't do the organizing or unionizing where they are there working. You can do it from where, which is their source, the place, the supply area, I should say. And there also it is not easy for trade unions alone to go and organize them, because it becomes a colony based or area based or basti based work. And area based or basti based work is better with the trade unions if they involve women groups. And then some work needs to be done at umbrella level. Even if they are not unionized in a big way, but their issues need to be taken up by the organized trade union sector. If at a society level, at citizens level, at civic society level, if the issues are taken up, and even if one example of harassment is seriously taken up by the trade unions and a big hullabaloo is made, and based around that some kind of protection measures are suggested and pressure groups are created, then that will have reflection on vast majority of domestic workers. And that's how the trade unions have been succeeding in the unorganized sector to get something for them, even though wherever they were not organized, at umbrella level, at the top level, pushing for their policies. And I think it's a high time that the trade unions and the women organizations push their attention towards this direction also.
Attempts at improving the conditions of domestic workers are being made by creating self-help groups as well. In this colony of Dakshinpuri in Delhi, Jagori, an NGO working for the cause of women's issues, aids a self-help group of female workers. In a small room on the first floor of a small house in one of these narrow lanes, female domestic workers residing in this area gather every week and voice their concerns. One must know from Shanti Devi, the head of this self-help group presently sitting among domestic workers here, as to how this organization handles problems that any domestic worker comes with.
समस्या आती है, हम हर मंगल का मीटिंग होता है.
As far as the manner of our functioning is concerned, for all the problems that come here, we hold meetings every Tuesday evening. All women, whether factory or domestic workers, know about it and come regularly. If someone comes on any other day, we ask her to come on the following Tuesday. Women come and put their problems before everyone. Then it is discussed amongst all of us and a unanimous decision is taken regarding the strategy to be adopted for handling the particular case in question. After this, women volunteer their help and take time out from their work and go with the woman in problem in groups of 2 or 4 to the required place. If police has to be approached or a major protest staged before a particular employer, then all of us go.
वकील की मदद हो तो
If legal help is required, we take help of other organizations as we don't have our own lawyers. They take our cases to courts. Apart from this, we have training programs organized by Jagori on issues relating to gender and rights of women. Simultaneously, lawyers come and tell us about our legal rights, all with a view to creating and spreading awareness among these women workers.
Let us return from here to the problems of self-employed women now and try to know what the several organizations like trade unions, cooperatives, NGOs and institutions working for self-employed women think about their problems and solutions.
The issue of networking is very important as far as the non-governmental sector is concerned, and I think now we are talking more about civil society organizations which should strengthen and give support to these grassroots initiatives which have come up in many areas of the country. The question of, while in urban areas you will find several fora are there which are now taking up either the issue of unorganized workers, the question of security, the question of health insurance, the question of maternity benefit, the question of child care, and our center is a member of several such networks. Now the basic objective of most of these networks is to do advocacy and lobbying on policy issues with the government on the one hand. On the other hand, to organize or provide a platform to voice the concerns of women in the unorganized sector. I think the networks play a very important role in trying to keep up the pressure on bringing about certain changes which are very important for the unorganized labor. In that connection, I think one of the experiments that our center did in the Bankura district of West Bengal is interesting in a way that not only non-governmental organizations but even research institutions could play a very useful role in mobilizing farm workers. And the center, right from its inception in 1980-81, has been working with several groups of peasant women, tribal women in Bankura district of West Bengal who have reclaimed more than 400 hectares of wasteland which they have regenerated. And that way it has also helped them in checking the migration out from Bankura district, because earlier there was I think a very significant migration from Bankura district to Hooghly and Bardwan, where they used to migrate every year. And creating opportunities for employment, for wage earning and other kinds of opportunities definitely checks out migration of people.
After having heard the views and experiences of an institution working with female workers, let us now know the programs, strategies and views of SEWA, the trade union cum cooperative working with self-employed women in Gujarat.
Today we face many challenges. Today the world is changing very fast. There is globalization, new technologies are coming in, new skills are coming in, new markets are coming in. We have to meet these challenges and we have to think about these strategies. We have to work on the strategies so that the self-employed women do not remain behind when globalization comes in. What are some of these strategies? The main one, as I said, was to form the growth of the self-employed sector, where women are truly self-employed in the sense of being the owner and the manager and the actual worker. But in today's world, they need many more skills than they needed earlier. They need to have managerial skills. They need to be technicians. They need to have the new technologies. In the farms, they need the new type of machineries which is suitable to them. How can they get that? That is SEWA's goal right now. And we feel that this is the effective strategy. This
strategy of forming organizations, entering the markets, struggle against injustice and reaching the voice. This is the strategy through which we can meet the challenge of globalization and still enter the mainstream.
There are several organizations like Seva in our country working for female workers. For instance, Aditi in Bihar. At some distance from Muzaffarpur is a village called Busra. Upon reaching here, one finds the entire village engaged in work. Men, women and children of the fishing community are found fishing every morning. In the afternoon, the fishes are found being auctioned. Women are seen working in farms. Women of the middle class engaged in a particular kind of needlework called sujani. Children studying. But it has not been so ever since the beginning. Busra's condition was similar to any backward region in the country, especially of women, for whom employment opportunities were almost negligible. With a view to improving the situation, for creating employment opportunities for them, Aditi, an NGO, came forward about a decade ago and inspired the local women to do something for a living. The initial response was conservative. A few women came forward with their traditional craft of needlework, that is, of making what in the local dialect is called the sujani, but their efforts paid off eventually. Over the past 10 years, 500 to 600 women have come to earn 1,000 to 1,500 rupees a month on one hand, whereas on the other hand, these sujanis are being sold in distant countries like US and Canada. Aditi helps in the marketing of these sujanis, but it is the craftswomen themselves who do the marketing, management and keeping books of accounts. Aditi procures and provides needles, threads and cloth to these women, who therefore only have to subscribe their art and labor, for which they are paid regularly at prefixed rates. Of late, a handloom center has also come up here where women are imparted training in weaving cloth. As a result of this, apart from development of skill in women, cloth is also produced which comes handy to these craftswomen. Around the time the sujanis had begun to sell, the Oxbow Lake by the side of the village was thickly covered with hyacinth. Aditi got it cleared, the lake dredged and its settlement done in the name of the women from the fishing community. For the past 8 years now, this lake has been consistently serving as a good source of income to the families of the fishing folk. On one hand, the fisherwomen are paid wages for fishing every morning. On the other hand, the auctioning of fishes that takes place every afternoon, in which sellers from all around the area come to buy fish, these women too participate in the bidding, buy fish and sell them in the market. Thus, they make double income, approximately 1,000 to 1,500 rupees a month. Witnessing the progress being made in the crafts and fishing departments, female sharecroppers also came forward to better the situation. Aditi began with microcredit projects for these sharecropper women, procured seeds, fertilizers, etc. for them and arranged for their training in modern methods of farming. As a result, these sharecropper women now not only grow a earful of grains for their own needs, the excess production of grain fetches them some cash too, whereas before all this they hardly got 3 months of paddy. In order to make the various kinds of self-employed women who walked into the Aditi fold over a period of a decade prosperous and powerful, Aditi has aided the formation of at least 50 self-employed groups. Activities of these self-help groups span across Muzaffarpur. This self-help group movement has fostered the growth of these self-employed women's works, bringing them more profit and improving their life situations.
The situation of female workers in the unorganized sector is one of grave concern. But organizations like Seva and Aditi have proved that these women can improve their situation by getting themselves organized. All kinds of organizations can take inspiration from this and make these women powerful and self-dependent by organizing them and facilitating income-generating activities for them.